Thousands of World War II veterans are heading to Normandy this weekend to remember one of the greatest victories in history, the D-Day landings. The US President Barack Obama will be among those attending the memorial service, as will a group of former servicemen from Hackney. Our reporter Matthew Morris travelled to France with them and joins us now from Normandy. Matthew.
Riz, right across Normandy, thoughts are once again turning to D-Day. I'm in Sainte-Mère-Église on the night of the 5th of June 1944. American paratroopers landed here to liberate the village. Another daring nighttime raid, this time by British forces, was carried out at Pegasus Bridge. Now, I've been spending time with some London veterans, and that's where I caught up with them earlier today. They're making new friends.
I appreciate everything, you know, for your service during that time.
God, thanks, your love.
And remembering old friends. Today they've come with cameras and medals, so very different to what happened nearly 65 years ago.
You were scared, for a start, and we landed up past our waist in water, and we had to wade across, and shells were dropping. It was scary. You just run up the beach, so you got there unharmed.
The capital's very own band of brothers, the only inner London branch of the Normandy Veterans Association. At one time, 80 members would make the annual trip. This year, only 8 can make it.
It's quite emotional, really, because immediately we go back in time to when we were young men, and we think when we were there, what we felt emotionally about our families we left behind. Would we be going back? And sometimes we ask each other, did it really happen? Were we really there?
They were there, most of them on the beaches, taking part in the Allied invasion of Normandy.
You see all these graves and you think to yourself, well, was it worth it? It certainly hits home, and I think that everybody today should realise what people went through so that they may have a decent life.
That's why 13-year-old Jordan from Chigwell is joining his granddad on this trip. Albert is 89.
I get to spend time with my granddad, and I get to see where he landed and how many people gave their lives.
Also, they'll know that, what life's all about, and there's no joy in it. It ain't clever in killing each other.
These men believe it's their duty to drive from London to France to remember those who never returned from these shores. Now, people from many countries are here this weekend, some in British uniforms, in American uniforms, others driving military vehicles. They're here to celebrate what is known as the longest day. Now, as you can see, there's a steady throng of people, and they will be here. The numbers will be building right across the weekend. Last night I was in Arromanches with the Hackney veterans, and I have to say it took about 30 minutes to walk about 10 yards because so many people were coming up to them asking for autographs, for photographs, or just to say thank you. Riz.
Now, British veterans are preparing to commemorate the 65th anniversary of D-Day this weekend. It will be the last official visit to Normandy for many of them. Our reporter Matthew Morris has spent much of this week with a small group of veterans from London, and he's in Normandy for us now. Matt, it does look lovely there.
Louisa, it certainly does. I'm at one of the most important sites for British veterans, Pegasus Bridge, which, as you can see, is being lowered after it was raised to allow river traffic. It's actually a replica. The original bridge is in the nearby museum. 65 years ago tonight, soldiers from the Oxfordshire and Buckinghamshire Light Infantry set off in gliders and landed just over the river. They fought to secure this site and did so in around 10 minutes, which means that this cafe, which is, as you can see, very popular this evening, was the very first building to be liberated. Now, of course, many more people landed by sea. I spoke to Vic Mackenzie from Epping on the beach at Arromanches. Standing on the Normandy sand once again, Vic Mackenzie was 20 when he first set foot here. 65 years ago tomorrow, he landed on Gold Beach.
I actually landed at this very spot, in fact, really, and we were absolutely amazed ourselves at the amount of shipping out there. They do say about 4,500 ships. We're all full of trepidation, of course.
Allied naval forces supported by strong air forces, began landing Allied armies this morning on the northern coast of France.
These men from the Hackney branch of the Normandy Veterans Association are attending some of the large official events, but they're also holding their own small ceremonies to quietly remember the fallen.
It's our personal tribute, if you like. My regiment lost very few people on D-Day, but we were wiped out later on in the war. The kings and the presidents and the princes are representing the whole of the services. We are just remembering the people that we don't think we knew.
There's no band here at Ronville Cemetery, but the men have come prepared.
This is my friend Corporal Ellis, who died with two others just ahead of me in a vehicle. And my vehicle was shrouded in shrapnel, slightly wounded, but that didn't matter much. But this is the man that matters to me each year. Come back every year for him.
Tonight, along the Normandy coast, many stories will be retold. There'll be firework displays and time for one or two drinks. 65 years on, there's nowhere else they would rather be. So there have been visits to the graves of friends and to the graves of strangers too. Some years ago, the Hackney gentleman found out about a lone British soldier who was buried in a tiny hamlet not far from here. The villagers said that nobody ever visited his grave, so every year now the Hackney men do just that, to make sure that a man that they never knew is not forgotten. That's the kind of story that they'll be telling here long into the night tonight. Louisa.